Hello YouTube and welcome to Full Dottle, a channel dedicated to tamping topics such as pipes, tobacco, lure, and more. I am your host, the Bearded Briarman, and without further ado, let's get lit. Welcome back everyone, and on this episode of Full Dottle, I'm going to be giving the full review of GL Pease Cumberland. But first, a little housekeeping. Today I am smoking my 7LE673KS rusticated aroma lucite, also known as the Friday 7LE. All right everyone, so this was a very difficult blend for me to wrap my head around. It was a two-way street for me for sure. There are parts of this blend that I really enjoy, and then there are parts of this blend that I really do not enjoy. For some of those out there, you're going to find it offensive, and for some of those out there, you're going to love it. And it just depends on the smoker, and we'll see that in the review. First, it's a vapor. This vapor is not going to be that sweet, bright Virginia type vapor. This is going to be a very robust, very pungent, stout Virginia. It's got Perique, it's got the red Virginias, and it's got the dark-fired Kentuckys. The 10 aroma I found to be at a 3.5. It's not too bad, it's actually pretty pleasant. You get that smoky barbecue-esque type aroma. You also get just a little bit of that fermented fruit from the Perique, and the Virginias come out with that nice toasted bread type aroma. It's not too bad, it's not something that you'd want to bottle up and be able to spray on you, but it's not too bad. This was extremely dry right out of the tin. So for sufficiently dry, I gave it a 5. No dry time required. You can put it right into your bowl and light it up right out of the tin. I do not get hardly any fruitiness out of this blend. This is not a fruit blend. This is very robust. It's got that smokiness to it. It doesn't have any fruits, and for that reason I gave it a 1.5. On the spice, I also gave it a 3.5 because this thing, the spiciness is pleasant. I don't find it offensive at all. It's very soft. It's like I was saying, it's kind of comparable to the spice that's in the Haunted Bookshop. It's not too much, but the weird thing about this blend is the Kentuckys in here leave this aftertaste in your mouth. It's a bitterness and it's kind of harsh, and it almost plays into the spice. For somebody who doesn't know how to distinguish between the two, it would be easily confused as being too spicy. But really the spice in it, that Perique in it, is not what's giving it that harsh undertone. It's the Kentucky. So it was very unusual. It's very difficult to kind of pinpoint this blend, but the spice in it, I gave a 3.5. I didn't think it was too bad at all. I will say though, for this blend, it really does not begin to present itself at all until you're at least a quarter way down the bowl. At the beginning of it, when you first light it, you're going to get a lot of that dark-fired Kentucky. It's going to be on the harsh side, on the rough side. And so if you're going to try it, I would tell you that go ahead and smoke it down at least a quarter bowl first, then start to critique it, because that first quarter of a bowl, if you stop right there, you're not going to get this blend. At the halfway point though, this blend really starts to build upon its complexity. And the tang, that rye berry flavor from the dark Virginias really starts to come through. The sweetness starts to build. The Periques will give just a hint of that stewed fruitiness to them. Not much. It's not enough for me to rate it positively on the fruit, but it's there enough that you can start to tell it and be able to distinguish between the different layers that this blend has to offer. So the tang for me, after the halfway point of the bowl, I went ahead and gave it a 3.5. I was bordering on 3 to 3.5, but I went ahead and gave it a 3.5 because after that halfway point of the bowl, it really starts to come forward. The sweetness is extremely delicate on this. It's not, you're not going to be looking at a real deep sweetness to this. It's just going to be hovering on the surface like a mist of sweetness. It's not very, very rich at all. It's very delicate, but it is there. And so for that reason, I gave it right in the middle of the road. I gave it a 2.5 on sweetness. So on this, the depth kind of suffered on this a little bit. And the reason I say that is because the red Virginias and the Perique on this are so overwhelmed by the Kentucky that it's hard to really explore those flavors. The Kentucky on this comes out very strong. It doesn't offer a lot of room. It's the Kentucky on this has a very deep flavor, but overall, the depth of this blend, I gave a 2.5. The red Virginias, I would really like to see more from the red Virginias and the Perique in this to be able to improve on its depth at all. The Kentuckys, I think, are well done. I think they're presenting themselves just fine. The difference is, though, I think that maybe they put in a little more of that component than what I would like to see in a blend. On complexity, I gave it a 3. It's a little past the halfway mark as far as overall rating. This blend, like I said, after the halfway point really starts to build on itself. It really starts to give you those layers that you're looking for in a complex blend. And so for that reason, I gave it a 3. I kind of hem-hawed around on that. I went back and forth because the last 3/4 of this bowl, it could almost be a 3.5 on complexity because the red Virginias, like I said, really start to come forward. But I don't smoke a pipe, I don't smoke a blend so that I can smoke 3/4 of a bowl before I can really enjoy the complexity of it. So for that reason, I gave it a 3. Balance suffered a little bit as well. I gave the balance a 2.5. I put it right in the middle. And I did that because, like I said, the Kentucky is not allowing enough room for the red Virginias and the Perique. It's very difficult for me because I actually enjoy this blend. It's not something that I dislike. It's something I could find myself smoking a few times a day. But if you want me to be fair with it, the Kentuckys just simply do not leave enough room for the other blends in this, for the other tobaccos in this, and it just suffered a little bit, so I had to give balance a 2.5. The smoothness on this really suffered. I gave it a 1.5 on smoothness because these Kentuckys simply leave a bitterness in your mouth, an aftertaste that is very difficult to get around. For somebody who is not ready to explore this, I could find a new smoker being simply thrown off by how rough this blend can be. And if a person is not able to get past that roughness, this is simply not going to be a blend for you. So as much as I hate to say it, the smoothness of this is 1.5 and it really affects the blend. For me, the high point of this bowl was that tanginess, that rye berry and oats and malted grain from the red Virginia that comes through. The problem is, though, it doesn't come through until the bottom of your bowl. Until it has had proper time to stove within your bowl, it simply doesn't come through and really gain any depth. But once it does, it is really refreshing to get that. And so I went ahead and gave it a 3.5 for the high point of the bowl. For me, the low point of the bowl is going to be that roughness. That simply borderline offensive roughness that this blend offers is very difficult to get past. A lot of smokers I could see are just going to be like, it's like trying to suck on sandpaper. And so for that reason, on the low point of the bowl, I gave it a 1.5. It does, as long as you smoke it properly, it does burn relatively cool. I didn't have a lot of issues with it. What's odd is it doesn't burn real hot, but because it is so dry, it burns fast. And so that's why I say if you smoked it quickly, it has the potential to burn hot. But if you smoke it properly, enjoy your time with it, it burns relatively coolly. And so for that, I gave it a 3.5. Overall, I gave this blend a 37.5 out of 65. It's a little past the halfway mark. It's got a 58% recommendation rate with that tally. And so what I would say to people out there, if you want to try this blend, if you enjoy burleys, that rich robustness from the burleys, you might enjoy this blend. In my first impressions, I said that it kind of compares to Haunted Bookshop. I took a lot of time with this blend, smoking this blend, and then in the next pipe I smoked some Haunted Bookshop. And there really is no comparison. But something that might really explain this blend to some out there who have had Haunted Bookshop but have not had Cumberland, Haunted Bookshop is far and above sweeter than Cumberland. If you had Haunted Bookshop's going to be up here for sweetness, Cumberland's going to be like down here. If you wanted to turn Cumberland into Haunted Bookshop, let's do that the other way. If you wanted to turn Haunted Bookshop into Cumberland, what you're going to have to do is turn down the sweetness on Haunted Bookshop by at least half. You're going to have to turn down the nuttiness and the woodiness from the burleys in Haunted Bookshop, and you're going to have to increase I don't want to call it, when you have Latakia, you get this very herbal smokiness to it. The dark-fired Kentucky in this presents itself more like a hickory, like a charred hickory smoke. And it comes through, but very faint. I only had, out of half a tin of this so far, I only had 1 or 2 smokes where I actually got the hickory barbecue flavor out of it. When I did get it, I'm very interested to explore dark-fired Kentuckys more. because it was a very different smokiness to it than I was expecting. But what I would say about this blend, if you want to try it, it's got a 58% recommendation rate. So like a few others I've reviewed, it depends on the smoker. This is not going to be for everybody. This is not going to be something that every smoker I run into can critique it and be like, yeah, I can pick out things I like in it. Some people are simply not going to like it. They're going to be offended by it, and it's not going to be for them. I don't know why I can't keep it lit in the last 3/4 of the bowl. But let's say somebody that likes a lot of burley, that likes that very leather, wood smokiness from a dark-fired Kentucky, a little bit of spicy from the Perique, and very, very little tang and sweetness, you're going to love this blend. I will give one little piece of advice. I smoked a bowl on a few mornings with some very strong coffee, and that really helped to tone down the Kentuckys in this and bring out the Red Virginias and the Perique a lot more. If you want to experiment with it with different types of beverages, pair it with different types of beverages, that would be perfect. Something that if you're an alcohol drinker, something that has some bitterness to it, maybe even a salty dog, this would be good with. Or if you're used to be a cigarette smoker or are a cigarette smoker, this isn't a light cigarette like you would find in just your normal light cigarette, but if you enjoy a type of cigarette type smoke, you probably will enjoy this as well. I wouldn't drink it with a sweet drink because you're just going to increase the pungency of this, and it's not going to come across very, very good to you. But overall, like I said, I could find myself smoking this a few times in a day. It's not an all-day smoke by any means. This would be something that would probably pair really well with certain types of alcohols or maybe certain types of meats. Or it could actually, if you really wanted to, you might be able to enjoy this with like a grapefruit juice, something that's going to give you that bitterness, an undertone of bitterness will help you a lot with this, and as it did with me. Overall, it's got a 58% recommendation rate. Some are going to love it, some are not. I encourage those that like burleys to try it. GL Pease Cumberland, not too bad. I enjoyed my time with it, so there you have it. My next reviews are going to be over Escudo Deluxe Navy Roll, and that's going to wrap up my vapors for a little while, and then I'm going to get into some vapors. Just a reminder out there, smokingpipes.com has a 15% off Cornell and Dill tobaccos right now. So take advantage of that. I'm going to be grabbing, I've already ordered some vapors from them because of that discount. So stick around, everybody. I'm going to be doing lots more reviews. That's going to do it for this episode of Full Dottle. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. And until next time we see each other, I bid you farewell and happy piping. Bye, everyone. Don't forget to enlist in the Full Dottle platoon. It's easy. Just click the subscribe button. Also, hit that bell icon to be notified as soon as I upload the next episode.